When you move into the sixth observance, that's Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And the details of how that was to be observed is found in Leviticus chapter 16. On that day, the high priest would take off his multicolored garments, undergo ritual immersion, and put on garments he wore only one day in the whole year, the Day of Atonement, and that was all white. He would then proceed with a rather lengthy ritual. First of all, a bull would be killed, and the blood of the bull was taken in to be sprinkled upon the mercy seat, which was the lid of the Ark of the Covenant. And the priest, because he himself was a sinner, first had to deal with the shedding of blood to cover his own sin, in order to be able to, before he could offer an offering for the sins of the people. So you go in, sprinkle the blood came out. And then 2 goats were brought before the high priest. 1 goat was chosen to die, 1 goat was chosen to live. The goat chosen to die would be killed by the altar, and the blood taken into the Holy of Holies again and sprinkled upon the lid of the Ark of the Covenant, and that was to provide the atonement for the Jewish people. Then the high priest came out, he laid his hands upon the live goat, and confessed the sins of Israel. And then the live goat was chased out, and out of the camp of Israel, and the picture being conveyed is this: with the shedding of the blood of the first goat, the second goat can bear the sins of Israel outside the camp of Israel. Bear the sins of Israel outside the camp of Israel. The Mosaic law was simply chased out. Later, rabbinic theology decided to make sure the goat does not bring the sins back into the camp. They would throw the goat off a high cliff and the goat would be killed. But the Mosaic law was to be kept alive and simply chased out. And then the high priest took off his white garments, underwent the second ritual immersion, and then went back into his multicolored garments. And that's the essence of the ritual. And on that day, 1 goat was shed, offered for the whole nation, but it was applied individually to those who afflicted their souls. Those who truly repented, those who truly believed, would receive the benefits of the atonement for that year. Now, the key word that is used in that passage is the word affliction. Afflict your souls, afflict your souls. That's the key word that is used. Now, when the Bible looks about the fulfillment of Yom Kippur, that's the word that is used. In Hosea chapter 5, verse 15, Hosea 5:15, he prophesies to undergo a period of affliction. And he says, in your affliction, you'll seek me earnestly. And the picture conveyed there is, when the Jewish people enter the tribulation, there'll be the period of severe affliction. And the severe affliction will cause them to turn to the Lord, to come to believe on the Messiah, Yeshua, the Messiahship of Jesus. Now, in Mosaic law, it had to do with the affliction of the soul. Moses never said to fast on that day. There was no fasting in the Mosaic law. He says you shall afflict your soul, but in rabbinic theology, they focused on the affliction of the body. And there had to be a full 26-hour period of fasting with no liquids, no solids for full 26 hours. New Testament brings in both elements, and the fulfillment brings in both elements. First of all, you have the affliction of the body. That's in Hosea chapter 5, verses 1 through 15. That will lead to the affliction of the soul of Israel in Hosea chapter 6, verses 1 through 3, when they finally turn to the Messiah. Same principle in Zechariah. In Zechariah chapter 12, verses 1 through 9, you have the affliction of the body as all the armies of all nations come against the Jewish people to try to destroy the Jews once and for all. But in Zechariah chapter 12, verse 10 through chapter 13, verse 1, Zechariah 12, 10 through 13, verse 1, you have the affliction of the soul. The Spirit is poured out upon the whole nation. They look unto the one whom they had previously pierced, and there is mourning for the sin, and finally the sins are forgiven. As a result, as you have the second coming, and to rescue Israel from those armies. And so the fulfillment of Yom Kippur, the fulfillment of the Day of Atonement, is the tribulation and Israel's national salvation in the tribulation, because it was a national Day of Atonement. Again, fulfilled by the tribulation, where they afflicted in the body, but finally they afflict their souls, leading to Israel's national salvation.